Hey guys, so I forgot my headphones today, and today we're going to be doing a different type of video than normal. So, there's not really a good example of these things I'm going to explain and go over, so we're just going to be using a face cam today. So, the first thing I want to go over is threat assessment, and like knowing when to assess a threat and who to target. So, when a person has a very high board state, like board state bigger than most people's on the table, and it's just looks scary, or you have somebody who has a very scary card, it's maybe better to target them. Now, I'm going to go over a couple different things about this. When somebody has this very big board state or card you don't like, you may start targeting them as threat assessment, and that's good threat assessment because you're targeting the right person. Now, when a person of a that has this board state, the scary person, is trying to make a deal with you, it it is not in your favor to accept that deal. Now, if you're trying to win the game, it is better to target them rather than make a deal with them not to target them, even if they're promising you another turn. Now, if you there is an exception to this because if you can talk to the person who is the threat, you can talk them into letting you have an extra turn and say you have something in your hand that could either stop them or win you the game. But usually, if the person that's the threat is allowing you to take that extra turn, they know that you're not going to be able to do much with it unless they're not very experienced in the game. Now, there's a couple different known ways of threat assessment that I believe are okay and not like annoying. Now, if you're targeting somebody because you know that their decks are good and you've been playing with them for a really long time and you know that they can take games by storm very easily, targeting them isn't always a bad idea, and it can be very helpful to you if you're trying to win more games. Now, if you're playing against somebody who has a deck that's usually very good, then targeting them is also a good thing. Now, so, but if somebody is playing a very good deck or is a very good player and they are in your pod, but they're not doing as well as the person who is sitting next to them with a full board state and a bunch of different things, it is better to work with the better player that you know that doesn't have much to take down this person who has it all. It is better to try to group up to take down the person who has it all rather than group up with the person who has it all because they're just probably going to kill you most likely. Now, being the threat can be very confusing, but you have to play more games where you're the threat more often, allowing you to be in that state more often and knowing what to do. Now, more on the person assessing the threat. When you assess a threat on the table and you go after the threat, you are to leave enough resources to defend yourself after going after the threat. Because if you leave yourself completely open and you destroy the threat, it is also likely that the other people in your pod will just come after you. And sometimes when you go after the threat, there is a dude sitting in the corner at your pod acting like he's done nothing all game, and then he's slowly just getting better, and by the time you've actually killed off the threat, he is the threat. So to keep stuff like this from happening, you counter the biggest thing on the table, whether it's a really big artifact like that's really scary, has a really long line of text that does things you don't want it to, or like a really big creature that's just gonna one shot somebody, or even like somebody's game plan. But you want to remove that while leaving enough resources for yourself. Like, if you're gonna kill somebody, it's better not to swing your whole board at them because it's likely that your team is that the other people in your pot are gonna kill you. Like, you gotta take these things into consideration if you don't want to die. And it is always good to get rid of the threat, but you want to make sure that you're not leaving room for other people to become a threat. Say, like, this dude's got a really big board state, and the guy sitting next to you hasn't done anything all game, but you know he's going to end up doing something. Because most people are going to do something with their deck. They're not just making their deck to do nothing, essentially. So when this dude over here is a really big threat, you might not want to board wipe. You might not want to use all of your mana and or creatures to swing at him and kill his creatures. Is then you're leaving yourself open to this guy who's going to get really big. So you want to distribute maybe half your mana, leave a little bit open, or you could use most of your mana and have creatures open. You always want to leave some room for counterspell if you have one, or like effectively a reversal. As in, like, if you were to target you, you'd have a way to respond to it. Now, if you go all out on the person who is the threat, you may be seen as the person who removed the threat, but is still more likely that you're going to die because you are leaving yourself completely open. So, yeah, that's really about it. I just wanted to go over that because I think it'd help a lot of people, and I see a lot of people going full charge mode at the person who is the threat, and then dying right after. And I think this is the most controversial area of Magic because a lot of people get mad about bad threat assessments and how people will quit the game because they don't like getting targeted the whole time. And I don't think you should constantly target the same person. And if somebody is becoming a threat, I don't think you should just keep targeting somebody who's not the threat. I think you should lean your targets toward the threat, but leaving yourself leaving defense for the person who you've been targeting. Because when you shift over to targeting the threat, the person who you were targeting is going to want to come after you, so don't leave yourself open. So yeah, that is it for today's little tip on Magic. Sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. It's been a couple days and I've been out on Thanksgiving. So hope you guys all had fun with your family for Thanksgiving. Peace, y'all.